Hey y'all, this is Jakia and I got my CJO. Yay! That's right, you heard it first. I got my CJO from a major USA airline and I am super excited. It has always been my dream to become a flight attendant, and that dream has finally come true. Now, I have been asked a lot of questions in regards to the process for my airline, and so I decided to get on here and make a YouTube video. So, I'm not going to mention my airline. However, from the thumbnail, hopefully you guys have figured it out what airline I am speaking of. And hopefully the information that I give you will help you, whether you're already going through the process or looking to go through the process because you want to become a flight attendant in the near future. Hopefully my video will help. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you see me looking off camera, I have some notes of my timeline of my particular process, and this is just a disclaimer. That is, this is my process, my experience, what I experienced. So my experience may not look like your experience, and your experience may not look like mine. I'm just speaking about my experience only. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let me give you a little backstory. So currently, I already work for my airline that I got my CJO with. I've been with my airline since September of 2019. So I am going into my 4th year with the airline, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Right now, I hold the position as a customer service agent, CSA, and which means I work at the airport, and I either work at the ticket counter, checking you in, taking your bags, or work up at the gate. So that means that I'm an internal candidate transferring over for flight attendant. So a lot of what I may say may be from an internal perspective, but I'm also trying to give it to you from the external perspective as well for future flight attendants or future people looking to become a flight attendant. My whole plan was to become a flight attendant. That has just been my plan. But I wanted to wait till my daughter was out of high school. So now that she is, I felt like this would be the perfect time. Now, when I first started with the company 4 years ago, I wanted it to be the perfect time then. But unfortunately, they wasn't hiring for in-flight at the time. So I said, let me get my toe in the dough, okay? And get in, and then maybe, hopefully, one day, I would be transitioning over for in-flight. And that day has finally come. Okay. So I had to be in my previous position for at least a year before I was able to apply for flight attendant. So this was my kind of like my timeline. I started in September of 2019. COVID came in 2020. They had just hired internals, candidates. However, I hadn't made a year with my position, so I was not eligible to apply. Finally, when I did make my year, we were still in COVID. So everything, of course, the world was shut down. They had taken a pause on applying and hiring and training and different things of that nature. So once the world finally opened back up, the last internal class that they hired for was the class that went through training. After that, they started hiring externally. And so November of 2022 was when they came back around and hired again for internals. And that's when I applied. Okay. So if you are already working for my airline only, remember, you have to have been in your position for a year before you can transfer or put in an application for in-flight. Also, you have to get a approval from upper management to apply. There are stipulations that you have to have met in order to transfer over to another department. And that's just all the way across the board. They will tell you all the stipulations that you would need to meet. Like, you can't be on corrective actions. You can't have more than 3 occurrences. Things of that nature. And like I said, you have to have been in your position for a year. Okay. Management is going to verify it first, and then they'll give you the approval to go ahead and apply. So I submitted my application on November 14th of 2022. That's when I submitted my application. I received my congratulations. I'm moving forward to a face-to-face on January 12th of 2023. Now, I do want to say, I didn't have to go through a phone interview or a virtual interview. I went from applying for the job, they checked my everything, and then once all of that went through and I was approved to move forward, I went straight to a face-to-face. Some people went through a phone interview. Some people went through a virtual interview. Some people didn't even do a face-to-face interview. They got their CJO just from a virtual interview. So for every person, that experience can be different. So just know that you may go through a phone interview and then you may jump straight to a face-to-face interview. You may not do a phone interview. You may just go straight to a face-to-face interview. Who all knows? It just depends on you, your process at the time. I was supposed to go to my face-to-face on February 1st. However, they had to cancel our face-to-face because Dallas had a bad snowstorm, ice storm, and so everything was canceled. So we had to reschedule for February 17th. That's when I actually went for my face-to-face. Now, I live here in Houston. So a flight from Houston to Dallas is about 45, 50 minutes. Okay. So and my interview didn't start till 8:30 in the morning. So I was able to get on the first flight out of Houston to Dallas. Now, just to let you know, the airline does pay for your flight, your travel to get there. Now, if you choose to go a day early and stay in a hotel, those accommodations at a hotel is all on you. It's your expense, not the company. They're only paying for your travel to Dallas. That's it. Okay, as far as your flight. Okay. So I took the first flight out, made it there. Once we got there, there was a shuttle that took us over to headquarters. Once we got over to headquarters, they welcomed us in. Now, I do want to let you know there is some paperwork that they will send to you prior to you going to your interview, your face-to-face interview, that you must have filled out and prepared and ready for them once you get there. Now, they will tell you to bring 2 forms of identification. So I brought my driver's license and my passport. Now, your passport is not required for your face-to-face interview, but it is required for the first day of training. So if you do not have your passport and you know you want to become a flight attendant, go ahead and start working on that, because the passport process that's another thing that can be different for everybody. I've seen where people passports have taken 3-4 months before they got it. I got mine exactly in 1 month. So it just all depends. But I got mine during COVID. So it was before I had even put in an application for flight attendant. So just go ahead and start the process, because just know you will need your passport on the first day of training for sure. You have to have it. Okay, so they checked us in, provided the paperwork and everything of that nature. After that, we had a briefing session, which was a session in regards, they just talked to you about the whole flight attendant process, what you'll be looking forward to, what you may be looking forward to in training, and different things of that nature. So we had that process. After that, they will then start calling you one by one, because they do not do group interviews. So you will be one by one called in for your face-to-face interview. Now, I was interviewed by 2 different people. It was a recruiter and another flight attendant. And when I say They welcomed me with open arms and made me feel so comfortable in my interview. It was just like sitting there talking to a friend. That's basically what it was. Now, also in the interview, they are going to ask you questions, and it's going to be in the STAR method. So if you are not familiar with the STAR method, my suggestion is to start looking that up, look at YouTube videos to understand what the STAR method is and how to answer those questions. The STAR method basically is situation, task, action, and result. That is what they're looking for when they ask you the question. So you will know if it's a STAR question when they say, tell me about a time when. That's when you know that they're asking you a STAR related question. Okay. My interview lasted about roughly 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, they took me into like a big conference room where other candidates were at, and we went straight into doing our PPST test, which is considered a physical performance standard test. PST test is nothing to hopefully stress about. Basically, they're just trying to make sure that you can fit down the center of the aircraft aisle. You can fit into the jump seat without taking up space for another flight attendant to sit, and also making sure you're able to get through the emergency exit door. That's it. Okay. Now, when we were in our briefing session before our face-to-face interview, they had already told us that we wouldn't get word on whether we got the position that day. So they had already told us that, the whole group that. So they told us that we would hear something within the following week. Well, Monday was President's Day, so they said it would be sometime after that. Okay, so the weekend passed because my interview was on the 17th. That was on a Friday. Weekend passed, Monday came. That's President's Day. I just so happened to check my emails like I normally do, and I had a congratulations, you got your CJO. So that I got my CJO on February 20th, 3 days after my interview. So I got mine quick, I should say. Like I say, everybody's situation may not be the same, okay? But I did get mine in 3 days, okay? So because I'm technically already working for the company, I just had to go into our portal and accept the offer if that's what I wanted to do. So of course, that's what I wanted to do. I went in and accepted it. And then a day later, on the 21st, is when they sent me my paperwork for my drug screening and background check. So I did that, and that took maybe 2 weeks to get back. Because that came back March 7th, stating that my employment screening was complete, and I now would hear back from my recruiter on my training date. Now, my airline is on a hiatus for the next 2 months, April and May, from training. So they will not be training in those months. Training will resume in June. So they had already told us it would be about 4 weeks. We would get our training weeks 4 weeks prior to the date that we have to be in Dallas for training. So at this present moment, I have not received my training date. And a lot of people that is been on our Facebook page is kind of in the same boat, waiting on their training date. I've seen questions, just what to look forward to. This is the steps. They did their phone interview. What are they looking forward to next? And just wanting to know a timeline. So I just, like I said, felt like this would be appropriate for me to come on, just give you my experience, give you my timeline on things. So like I said, I did my application on November 14th of 2022, and my job screening was completed on March 7th of 2023. And at this present moment, it is Thursday, April 13th. I am still waiting to find out what is my official training start date. Okay. So what I want to say to everyone that may be going through the process, that may not be as far as long as I am, or someone looking to eventually become a flight attendant, have not even started the process, have patience. This is a process. It doesn't happen fast. It is, once again, a process. So you will have to have patience. Now, I have also seen where people have said that they have received their CJO, or they've received a TBNT, thanks but no thanks, meaning they did not get the job. Do not let that stop you. Do not let that defeat you, okay? Please don't. You can reapply. I know for my airline only, I'm speaking of my airline only, you can reapply in a year, okay? So it may seem like it's a long time from now, but the way these years are flying by, you'll look up and your year of beating came back around, and you will be able to apply again. So don't let this defeat you. I hope that me providing this has been helpful for some. For a lot of you, join my channel. So click the like button, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be uploading more and more videos as I go through the process of flight attendant. Once I get my training date, I will be doing another video in regards to my training date, and also like what I'm going to pack for training. So be on the lookout for that. And also, my channel will be about me traveling and just lifestyle. So I would hope that you would join my channel and be a part of the family, okay? So once again, this is Jay signing off. Love you guys.